welcome to my humble abode. Today I'm going to be watching and reacting to a Halloween horror story by Mr. Nightmare. Of course, if you want to watch it without me yapping, go ahead and check out his channel down below in the description. And yeah, with that, let's watch.
This happened when I was 12 years old. It was Halloween day, and my family was staying at a small family resort about an hour away from where we lived. My parents wanted to do something different that year instead of just walking around our neighborhood for trick-or-treating.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with trick-or-treating. It's fun, alright? It's fun for the whole family. Mainly the kids, but you know what I mean.
The resort was holding a Halloween celebration that weekend with a bunch of activities, games, and even a haunted hayride. It wasn't a big place. It had maybe 10 cabins, a main lodge, a small lake, and a long open field where they set up hayrides and games.
I mean, that sounds fun to me. Shit, I would've went there too. It doesn't have to be a huge resort as long as it's fun and entertaining. That's all that really matters, honestly. Shit, I've never been on a hayride, but I've always wanted to go on a hayride. It sounds nice. It really sounds nice. What about you? Have you been on a hayride, Reactbot?
I miss the old Smosh.
We're not talking about Smosh, my dude. Bro, get with the program. We're watching Halloween scary stories. Shit.
It was surrounded by woods on all sides. During the day, it looked normal, even kind of peaceful. But once it got dark, the woods looked black and creepy, and the resort felt a little too quiet. We checked in early that afternoon. I remember walking into the cabin and feeling excited because I could smell campfire smoke and candy apples in the air.
Caramel apples. I mean, I'm sure you've all had caramel apples. They're so good. Speaking of apples, have y'all ever done the bobbing for apples thing? Like, when you're a kid, you don't really think about it, but like, as like, I've grown older, maybe you have too, but like, the thought of like bobbing for apples is just so disgusting and gross. Like, everyone puts their fucking face in the same water, their saliva's going out, probably their snot too, and maybe even their sweat. Like, it's so gross. Bobbing for apples is not hygienic, it's not sanitary. All right.
Mom, are you sure this water's sanitary?
It is just pure disgusting filth. Reactbot, what do you think about it?
I'm bored.
Bro, shut the fuck up and watch and listen to me, all right? We're gonna do this together. Stop making me look bad. Goddamn.
Kids were running around in costumes, even though it wasn't dark yet. My parents said the hayride was starting around 7, and there'd be games before that, so I went off to play while they unpacked. They had booths where you could toss rings over bottles for candy, a costume contest, and even a pumpkin carving area. Everything was decorated with orange lights and fake spiderwebs. I met another kid around my age there. His name was Ryan. He was wearing a skeleton costume and said he and his parents were staying in the next cabin over from ours. We played a few games together and got a good amount of candy. As it got closer to 7, we saw a crowd of families walking over to the hayride area. The tractor pulling the wagon was parked near a big barn, and they had hay bales lined up inside for people to sit on. There were maybe 20 of us who got on. The driver wore a scarecrow mask, and there were workers dressed like zombies who would jump out during the ride to scare people.
Oh, I really want to go on one of these rides, man. They seem so fun. If you've ever been on a hayride, let me know down in the comments below how it went. Please. I just want to know. I just want to have some fun, man.
The ride started out fun. It was dark by then, and they had torches lighting the dirt trail. The tractor moved slowly through the woods, and every now and then, someone in a costume would appear from behind a tree or run up to the wagon. Most people laughed or screamed and then laughed again. It felt like a normal Halloween attraction, but about halfway through, something made me uncomfortable. We were passing through a part of the trail that was darker than the rest. The tractor slowed down, and I looked toward the edge of the woods on my side. That's when I saw a man standing just outside the torchlight. He wasn't part of the hayride cast. I could tell that right away. He wasn't wearing a costume that fit the theme. From what I remember, he had a black jacket, jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low over his face. He was just standing there, not moving, with his hands in his pockets. At first, I thought maybe he was one of the workers taking a break, but he wasn't doing anything. He was only watching.
Nope. Nope. If you go on one of those hay rides and you like turn your head and you see like a creeper right there in the fucking woods, wearing all black, making sure his hat is low so you don't see his face, you know something bad's gonna happen. Either to you or to someone else. Like, you should, like, I don't know, Be watchful or something. Be careful. There's all kinds of creepers out there, man. There really is. Never take it too cautiously. That's for sure.
At one point, I made eye contact with him.
Ooh, don't make eye contact with him. God.
Or at least I think I did. Even though his face was shadowed, I could feel his eyes locked on me. I turned to look at the people around me to see if anyone else noticed, but no one seemed to. When I looked back, he was still there, in the exact same position. I tried to ignore it for the rest of the ride, but I kept thinking about him. When the hayride ended and everyone got off, I looked back one more time toward the woods. He was gone. I didn't mention it to anyone right then. I figured maybe I imagined it or...
Nope. Mention it. Mention it to someone so at least someone knows what's going on, what you saw, you know? Because, like, you don't want to keep that shit a secret. You know, in case something does happen, people are like, oh, I remember so-and-so saying they saw a person out in the woods wearing all black with a cap. It's better to be safe than sorry. That's for damn sure.
Overreacted. We went back to the lodge where they had more games and food. My parents sat by a bonfire while Ryan and I went around collecting candy. Everything seemed normal again. About an hour later, I saw him again. Ryan and I were standing near the snack table when I noticed someone off to the side of the crowd. It was the same man. He wasn't close, maybe 30 feet away, but he was standing near the tree line, watching again. There were a lot of people around, so it felt strange that he'd just be standing there alone. I remember my stomach tightening when I realized he was looking in my direction.
Yeah, he creeping on you. He creeping on you, all right. You're like, hello, ooh, they're getting candy. I'm sorry, but no, like, don't even go near him. Tell someone about him. He's right there. You see him again. Be like, Mom, Dad, there's a creeper over there. Don't stay quiet about it. Rapbot, what do you think about this creeper?
This is a moment.
It is a moment. I agree. This is a moment that needs to be talked about, and it is. Thank you for telling us your story.
I tried to get a better look at his face, but it was hard because of the lighting. I could make out a short beard, and I think his hat had some kind of logo on it. I nudged Ryan and told him about the guy. Ryan looked over and said, maybe he's one of the workers. I said, he's not. He was in the woods during the hayride. Ryan shrugged and said, maybe he's a dad. I wanted...
No dad would just randomly be standing out there in the woods in all black, staring directly at this one kid constantly. That's weird.
To believe that, but he wasn't talking to anyone, just standing there. A few minutes later, when I looked back again, he was gone. Around 9 o'clock, if I had to guess, most of the little kids had gone back to their cabins. The event was winding down, but Ryan and I still had energy. We decided to walk around the resort before going in. There was a trail behind the cabins that led into the woods. Ryan said we should go a little way in to do something scary for Halloween before...
Nope. Always stick on the path. Do not go off the path. That's when bad things happen. Don't do it. I don't care how old or young you are. Don't go off the path. Don't go into a place where you can hardly see and it's dark. Anything could happen.
The night ended. I didn't want to go too far, but we had flashlights and I didn't want to look like a coward. So we walked down the dirt path together, laughing and daring each other to keep going. The farther we went, the quieter it got. The sounds from the resort faded until it was just the crunching of our shoes on the path. We only went maybe 200 feet in when we stopped near a clearing. There was an old wooden sign nailed to a tree that said private property. We started throwing small rocks at the sign and pretending to summon ghosts or something dumb like that. Then we both heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, slow footsteps coming from behind us, somewhere deeper on the path.
Ooh, no. At that point, you need to turn around and run. Turn around and run. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't. You're out there alone. Turn around, run. Get your butts out of there.
We froze and turned around. Ryan whispered, probably another kid. But it didn't sound like a kid. Whoever it was walked with weight, like an adult. I shined my flashlight down the path. The light only went so far, and I couldn't see anyone yet. Then the footsteps stopped. For a few seconds, it was completely silent. Then a voice spoke. It said, "Hey there, boys." It was a man's voice. Calm, but somehow intimidating. Ryan looked at me, and I think he realized the same thing I did. It was the man from the hayride. He stepped into the light just enough for us to see part of him. Same black jacket and hat. "What are you two doing out here?" he asked. "You like candy?"
Do you like candy? Do you want some candy? I have some in the back seat of my van. You can come and get some candy. Bro, there's no way. There's no way these kids are gonna fall for it, right? There's no way. Amanda's not having a candy, alright? He's looking to kidnap you. Y'all should just ignore him and walk away. Walk the fuck away.
Neither of us said anything. He
Good.
pulled something out of his pocket and held it up. I could see the orange wrapper. It was a Reese's cup. "I got a bunch more of these in my cabin," he said. "Come on, I'll give you some." Ryan took a step back. I remember his face going pale. The man took a few steps closer and then said, "You don't have to be scared. It's Halloween. I'm just giving candy out."
No, you're not just giving candy out, sir. You're trying to kidnap them. You're trying to kidnap some kids, sir. Genuinely, though, like, if that happens to you, and maybe you're a kid, I don't know, or even adults, if you still have those rocks in your hands, you better start chucking it at him. Chuck those rocks at him as hard as you can and then run. Flee deep. Well, I guess he's kind of cutting off the way back to the hotel or whatever. So you're going to want to run not into the path, but deeper into the woods. Hide behind a tree. Wait for him to pass, bolt out of there, back onto the trail, and then to the hotel. But also check your rocks at him. Maybe it'll hurt him. Who knows?
"I saw you boys on the hayride earlier." When he said that, my stomach basically dropped. I grabbed Ryan's arm and whispered, "Run." We both turned and sprinted down the path toward the resort. I could hear him behind us for a second. His footsteps were pounding hard as he started to chase. I didn't dare look back. My heart was beating so hard it hurt. The path seemed longer than before. When we reached the edge of the woods, I could finally see the lights from the resort again. I yelled for help as we ran out of the trees and back toward the crowd near the bonfire. A few adults turned toward us, startled. We didn't stop until we got right up to the people. I turned around, expecting to see the man behind us, but he wasn't there.
No, of course he wasn't. He's not going to follow you all the way. He's been hiding throughout the trees. He has some sort of private property on there, which he came from, obviously. He's not just going to like walk up, follow you guys fully towards the adults and be like, "Hey, I offered them candy. Yeah, that was me." He ain't going to do that, all right? He's not.
The path was empty. My parents came over right away, asking what happened. I told them everything. About the man watching me on the hayride, seeing him near the trees, and then following us into the woods. Ryan confirmed it all. My dad and another man grabbed flashlights and went to check the path, but they didn't find anyone. A few workers searched too, but he was gone. The resort staff called the local police to report what happened. They arrived about 30 minutes later and took statements from me, Ryan, and our parents. They said they'd check the area, notify nearby cabins to keep an eye out. That night, my parents didn't let me out of their sight. We stayed in the cabin with the door locked. I couldn't fall asleep for hours. Every noise outside made me jump. The next morning, the police came back and told us they searched the property but didn't find anyone matching.
Well, did you tell him about the private property sign? I don't know how deep he went in, but there was a private property sign where he came from, right? He came from the private property fence line, but hey, he might have lived in there, past there. He has a cabin over there because he talked about he had a cabin on the private property. Maybe tell him about that, I don't know. But I mean, you're in the middle of the woods. He could be hiding anywhere. That's the unfortunate part.
The description. No vehicles had been reported missing, and no one fitting that man's description had checked in. They thought maybe he was a trespasser from outside the resort. We left later that day. I remember staring out the car window as we drove past the woods, half expecting to see him standing there again. For weeks after that, I kept thinking I saw him, on the side of the road, outside stores, even once at my school parking lot, but it was always someone else. Or at least, I hope it was. Ryan and I kept in touch for a while. He told me he couldn't sleep for days after it happened. Nothing ever came of this. The police never called again. The man was never identified or caught. Now I'm older, and when I think about that night, what scares me isn't what he did, it's what he could have done. If we had believed him for even a second, if we had walked toward him instead of running, I don't think I'd be here to tell this story. And every Halloween since then, whenever I see someone standing alone at the edge of a crowd, I always think of that man. Sometimes people who look like they're part of the fun are watching for a different reason.
Facts. big facts. You can't trust anybody. You really can't. Not these days. Not this day and time. You can't really trust anyone except for your family. Sometimes not even them. But I digress. Of course that's gonna haunt you for the rest of your life. Imagine if you were him and you were like leaving the resort and you look around and you just see him like standing there on the sidelines, like in the trees, being like, just watching him go by. That would be like fucking Michael Myers. Just following you everywhere you go, but like, you know, staying out of people's eyesight. Like, that'd be crazy. That's scary though. It is. That's creepy. Robot, what did you think of this story?
I don't get this one.
I mean, I just told you about it, but, well, he just told you about it, not me, but you know what I mean. He was telling you a story about how when he was younger, a creepy old man was trying to give him candy. What's not to understand about the story? Man, literally.
Not me vibing with the Riz.
Okay, I think you had too much candy, man. I really think you do. You need to calm down and stop eating it. Alright, but anyway, that was a true horror story that was narrated by Mr. Nightmare. And what do we give this? I'll give this a solid 3 Oogie Boogies out of 5. It was pretty scary, especially because it was a true story. And there are people like that in real life who do try to kidnap kids. It's fucking frightening. What do you give it, Reactbot?
Dude, that's low-key wild.
It is wild. It's not even low-key. It's high-key wild that people still do this to this day. It really is. It really is. But yeah, that was a good little story. It was. And hopefully you all enjoy this video. And with that, like it, dislike it. But at least subscribe.